great. What happened?
It still sounds great for them. I just turned off the double.
Oh, okay.
To be honest, the song's been playing for 23 hours. Uh-oh. I don't have power. That's a shame. Hi, we're live, but I can't direct, so we're going to have to restart. That's a new one.
False start?
But I'm not. Yep, absolutely. Well, see, I don't know what happens if we start and stop, if it goes again. Should we find out? It might be the shortest show ever.
All right.
I can't change cameras. I have no control. You want to say welcome or anything, or you just want to tell everybody to F off and try again?
You've lost control? Well, I mean, I want to tell everybody, as a public service message, it is 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are? Hi, I'm Gary. Welcome to Fladge Rants Live. Today we're talking about my favorite topic, which is aliens. Now, let's start with the Mount Rushmore right off the bat. Little green men. I'm going to go with the Greys, the Reptilians, and I'm going to go with the Pleiadians. Am I saying that right? Pleiadians? From the Pleiades constellation. They look like us, and they would blend right in. The thing about the shape-shifting lizard people that David Icke talked about, that is actually what is, the legend has it, their prime directive. Speaking of prime directive, there is a false dichotomy. The Star Wars fans versus the Star Trek fans. If you ask me, this is apples to oranges. Star Trek is science fiction. Star Wars is fantasy. And now, if you ask me what camp I reside in, I'm the Star Wars side. That being said, if you want real explanations on how the science works, Star Trek is more realistic. If you tried to fly one of the jets from Star Wars, they won't get off the ground. Their tech won't work. At least Star Trek, they're trying. Here's the thing that both shows have in common. Aliens. They both have aliens, and that's why I brought them up. Next, we can do another Mount Rushmore. Why is the picker wheel up?
That's all I can do. I have no director purpose. I want to change the camera. I thought it would replace me. Yeah, I have no camera control. I think you're still director.
Okay, no, I want to direct this because this is I'm going to take it in a bunch of different directions. I want to talk about the varieties of aliens. I want the Fermi paradox we've covered. Now, I didn't cover the Drake equation, and we don't have like a prior probability to plug into the Drake equation to figure out how many intelligent life forms there are out there. But a lot of people say 36. I think it's way greater than that. I think both Star Trek and Star Wars are fairly accurate as to what's going on in the galaxy. Actually, Star Trek provides a pretty reasonable explanation as to why we haven't seen them, and it's the prime directive. They're not allowed to mess with us because we're primitive, stupid monkey people. Now, I'll give you another Mount Rushmore. Most compelling evidence of aliens, and of course the megalithic structures, the wow signal. Remember the Phoenix Lights? And how about the Battle of Los Angeles? Did I leave Roswell off of that? But wasn't that a weather balloon? And then they retracted that and said, no, it really was aliens. So they're muddying the waters, but with the Pentagon disclosures coming out all the time, the Tic Tac video, I mean, we've got a lot of reasonable material. But doing my research this week, we've got a lot of information, and it's some of the stuff, I'm going to revisit some of the stuff we've been talking about in the last few weeks. Like the reptilians were the first ones here, and they created some stuff to control us. But when the Anunnaki showed up from Nibiru, they went to Agartha. Not even kidding you, went to Agartha to hide because they're scared of them. Another fake thing that comes out of Star Wars is, remember how Hoth was an ice planet, and then the forest moon of Endor? There isn't a planet that's all one ecosystem, one kind of climate. Planets have different, varying, tropical regions and northern regions that are icy most of the year, and there's no planet that's all tropical or all snow. It's stupid. And that brings me to my next point that I want to rant about, is people say the reptilians are evil and the grays are indifferent. So we got the malevolent race and the benign ones, and then the only ones that want to help us are the Nordic ones, which are the ones that from the Pleiades that look like us, and they want to help us. Another compelling piece of evidence is that artwork in Egypt where the gods are pictured sitting on a chair and the humans are walking up to them and they barely come up to their kneecaps. Giants are real, and they're not from around here. Hi, Drawer.
What's up, sweetheart?
Did you get prepared for aliens? I think I hit my main bullet points, but I'm ready to talk about any of them. Hit me.
I am always prepared for aliens.
Yeah, I thought this would be the best way to celebrate my birthday week, party week, party week.
Ba-dee-doo.
Buddy-doo. About 50 feet from here, I've established those horseshoe pits. Easy and I played the inaugural game. I barely beat him, but I beat him. I won the christening game, and the pits are playing sweet. Not too hard, not too soft. Very nice.
Nice. Back to aliens. I was the one episode you started with a Carl Sagan quote, and I came across a Carl Sagan quote as well.
Dude.
Extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. And
That's
aliens are an extraordinary claim, but guess what?
Yes,
there is extraordinary proof.
We've got it. We've got it in spades.
Even just the last 5 years, extraordinary proof. The life cycle of our species, there's a lot more extraordinary proof that I don't know if people are aware of.
Tell us.
Well, I shall.
Good, Drawer.
Shall I? So
bring it on.
I guess I'll go with just kind of my spiel here, because I thought this topic was going to happen a little while back, and it didn't. I think I maybe was confused on superstitions, maybe, and we were going full blown aliens. But for me, aliens and religion very much cross over. I know some other people it does as well. I never understood religion until that idea got placed in my head, where it's like, okay, they're talking about something. It was compelling enough that people have worshipped this for years. What possibly could it be? And you just look back at history in general, and there's all kinds of shit to make this me to make this the easiest amount of sense. Trying to fiddle my way through this.
Before you get started, George, should we fill in on what's happening with the director action? I can't change any cameras. We were debating if we should restart or not. So if you bring something up, it's always going to be a small window. I can't change anything.
Well, I mean, we can,
for whatever reason,
we can false start. 10 yards.
Yeah, you think it'd be a better show as long as we can bring it back.
Okay, we'll be back.
We're gonna. I think we have 3 viewers watching. Oh no, we're gonna lose them. One of them is me.
What's gonna happen is just everybody. You got to drop out of the invite link, and then let me reset it, and then rejoin.
Yep.
Yeah.
See you in 2 minutes.
I'm not even gonna change the feed. So we're just gonna do it on the back end.
Okay. We'll see you in 2 minutes. We'll be right back.
Yay! I was wondering why things didn't look the way they were supposed to look earlier. Can I hear me?
Oh, hi.
Am I here now?
I can see me.
Where's Brady? I see an
Oh, we
infinite
lost Brady.
screen. I like that. It's hot.
Well, until Brady gets back, I actually had two things for you. I misquoted Carl Sagan on that. It was Arthur C. Clarke.
You didn't misquote Carl Sagan. You just got it completely wrong.
Attributed it to the wrong person.
Yeah,
Arthur C. Clarke said sufficiently advanced technology would be indistinguishable from magic. And
so it was a lot.
Also, I've got an edit for you. With the 4-second delay, I didn't hear you say Papa Smurf is a fictional character, but Jesus was real. So I looked into the Jesus was a real historical figure, and all I was looking for was extra biblical context, something other than the Bible, because you can read a children's book about Papa Smurf, and it says Papa Smurf is a real person. So reading the Bible doesn't tell you that Jesus is a real person. It just tells you that the Bible is a story about a person named Jesus. It doesn't tell you that he's real. There are 2 first-century authors that mention Jesus that are extra biblical in context. That was Josephus and Tacitus. Josephus is clearly a forgery. It looks like it's inserted inappropriately at a bad time and just quotes the Bible. Tacitus, however, despite being 1,400 miles away, refers to him as Christus, says he was persecuted under Pontius Pilate, real person. You were right. I was wrong. I apologize.
We need to timestamp this. I need to pull this clip. Keep it forever.
Yeah. That could be on your next highlights video, because I want to make sure I'm getting the facts right.
Well,
there is extra biblical context that we can establish a historical Jesus.
Yeah, so I wasn't sure where exactly you were going with that. I thought I was going to have to contradict you, but one thing that I did pull from some crap that I watched a little bit ago is that nobody with accredited degrees teaches that Jesus did not live. Nobody.
You're right.
All of it's a historical.
Brett Ehrman, a noted atheist and a New Testament scholar, says Jesus was a real person, and we know that he was prosecuted under Pontius Pilate and condemned to death by crucifixion and was killed by the Romans.
Are we dealing with the same thing still, Brady?
Yep. So what I did is I added myself as a second user and gave it says I'm director. I just, for whatever reason, I can't. So I set myself up as another account co-director, and I'm hoping that works. But you guys can just keep going. Ignore me.
Okay. Yeah, I don't need to pull anything reference, because I've got a lot of material that I'm just going to freaking run down here, because I feel like this is just impressive by itself when it comes to that Carl Sagan quote, because it ties in with that. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. The Book of Enoch is part of the Bible, but not part of the Bible. It used to be part of the Bible. It got removed. That is quite an interesting book. The Book of Enoch calls them the Watchers, not necessarily God. They call them the Watchers, and those are alien beings, potentially God in a sense, because they do kind of have some kind of governing over us, or they help create us. But chapter 91 in the Book of Enoch, after traveling through the heavens and returning, he then plans on making another trip through the heavens. What that means, left up for interpretation. Enoch sits down with his family, and Methuselah, Enoch's oldest son, so this does tie into more of the history, because these are people that did exist, whether they were significant or not. You can at least trace it to somebody that actually did exist, and so that's always grabs me. But they sat down with his family, and Enoch's oldest son, asked if he was ever going to see Enoch again. Enoch said, quote, "The guardians of the sky told me I will return to this planet, but in thousands of years, we will meet again." So whatever that means, I don't know, but why is that in there? Why would anyone, it made sense to whoever wrote it. I'm assuming it made sense to Enoch. The Book of Enoch is actually the only passage in the Bible or whatever the fuck you want to call it. I'm not a biblical historian, but it's the only one written in the first person. Everything else is not. Enoch says, I did this. I was taught this. I was shown this. I was brought on a spaceship. These were what these people's jobs were. They had classifications. They had jobs. He learned something from a specific different person whose classification was that thing that he learned. They taught him stuff about farming and all kinds of stuff. And it is quite remarkable when you break that book down.
Nice.
Any comment?
Outstanding. I've got the same thing out of the Book of Enoch.
Yeah, it's quite remarkable. But then we go further. Satan was a falling angel, and in the context of religion, God is the creator. God created all the aliens. Fuck, I already screwed my point. God created all the angels.
Yeah.
But somehow Satan was able to disobey God. There was also the angels that the fuck were they? They were all cast down to earth. What was Gary? Help me with that.
Not the fall.
Me off now. The fallen angels. Is that what the?
Was it the fall?
I don't know, but there was like 10 of them that were cast down as well because they were having sex with human women.
The Nephilim.
No, but it just makes no sense how an angel, if these angels existed, how they're fornicating with human women, how a creation of God can disobey God to the point that God, it just sounds like, a work situation. And he's like, look, if you're not going to, I'm the manager here. And if you're not going to, I like Brady, it's a good shot. If I'm the manager here, and if you're not going to listen to me, then, you're fired. Get out of here. And Satan actually was essentially trying to liberate humans. God, if you look at the whole Garden of Eden situation, I believe that's just a metaphor, but God wanted to keep us in the dark. He didn't want to show us the truth of everything. He wanted us to be dumb children that just frolicked along and got along. Satan is the one who liberated humans, who showed us, the truth of everything. And so was he really that bad of a person? There's nothing that he did specifically that was evil or dastardly.
No. As far as I can tell, he was doing God's bidding.
Yeah. So the Anunnaki, I don't believe in Nibiru. I feel like that's dumb. I feel like Nibiru could just be a spaceship, who knows? But the Anunnaki believe that they're half God, half man. The creator came down from the sky. The Christians, when it comes to return, I mentioned that Enoch passage of returning. That's a theme that comes up in all kinds of religions, and that directly relates to returning either from the sky or in some type of birthing situation. But I would assume that returning from the sky would make more sense. But the Christians, return of Jesus. The Jews, return of Elijah before the Messiah to usher in the end time. And these are all like in the end times. It's really fucking weird. But the Muslims, the return of Muhammad or Mahdi, which is the divine and guided one, they call it, or divine and guided one. The Hindu, the 10th and final incarnation of Vishnu. Ancient Indians, they believe in the Vedas, and they talk about the Vimana spaceships, and they talk about it very directly. These are spaceships to them. They are vehicles,
yes, they do.
And they are beings from the sky. They are not, it's very weird.
I was going to bring up the Vedas today too.
The ancient Chinese, they had the yellow emperor who came from space and went back in space in a dragon and is now amongst the stars. Mayans, Kukulkan Khan was descended from the stars. Genghis Khan also has ties to the stars. The Black Stone of Mecca, which is actually a meteorite that came from, it's the Dome of the Rock, which actually was a Christian Holy Land way before it was Muslim Holy Land. But that's also something that they worship as well. Their civilizations, ancient civilizations, worshipped or actually depicted the scarab, which is the dung beetle, but that's one of the only species that uses the stars to navigate, and specifically the Orion constellation. I don't know how the fuck they do that or how they know that they do that, but the ancients knew that was a thing. And it is weird because there are scarab carvings in Australia, ancient Australia stuff, and there's also scarab carvings in ancient Egypt. Two completely different land masses worshiping the same type of thing. So either they figured the same thing out, or they were taught the same thing
independently.
Many ancient sites use the Orion galaxy. The Shaft of Giza, the Great Pyramid, points to Orion.
Yeah, that's aligned to Orion's belt.
The layout of those pyramids are Orion. In 1974, they found a 6,400 to 3,400. They believe it was existed from between 6,400 and 3,400 BC. In the Sahara Desert, there was a small circular stonehead structure that aligned with Orion. Teotihuacan, Mexico, the Mayans once occupied by 150,000 people. 2nd century BC is laid out in the formation of Orion's belt, and the Mayans were very specific as this is the point of creation. A lot of ancient structures correlate with as above, so below, the Orion's belt, and that's where that also ties into as well. Don't end the show, Brady. If you're even still there.
I've never been so proud.
They found in Iraq thousands of clay tablets. Now we go back to the cuneiform episode. They found clay tablets in cuneiform script, supposedly written by Babylon priests in the 17th century BC, and the Babylonian star catalogs, which they describe the precise movements of various celestial bodies, now known as the zodiac. They have accurate mathematical equations and distances between planets, which is pretty freaking remarkable.
They could not have done that themselves.
How do you do that without having some type of, I don't know, object to do that? You would have to know the distance, the light, I mean, I don't even know how we fucking know that shit nowadays, but I know we've been out to space. We've got all kinds of probes and shit we shoot out there. I don't know.
Yeah. It's crazy calculations.
Yep.
I'm kind of worried about Brady right now. He hasn't moved in a while.
I know. I kind of like
He's
him
really
right now,
still.
Yeah.
I'm here.
I think he's thinking.
Oh, he is there.
I almost got the secondary hole set up so I can just switch over, but the sound might cut out for a second. I didn't want to interrupt.
No, I'm almost done with the spiel. Northeast Arizona, the Hopi tribe built a ruin in 1120 AD. They built one site, lived there, then abandoned each of the sites they lived, and they lived in several different sites, and they literally matched the shape of the Orion's galaxy.
No kidding.
The star mirror as above, so below. They say that their god landed on top of a mountain peak and guided them to each of these locations, and then told them to wait for a specific time for him to return, and taught them agriculture and just various valuable information. This is their story. Even the Star of Bethlehem. The wise men followed a star that we have no idea what the star is. No one knows which star that is. It was way too bright, and it supposedly protected them as they walked. What would that be? You don't need to use your imagination too much for that. Especially nowadays. It used to be far-fetched, but stealth bomber is alien technology. Some of our most important archaeological sites from the past utilize Orion in their stories and their architecture, and also we came from the skies. Easter Island, same thing. All the halos over the heads in ancient and religious scripture, that it was a sign of a godliness, that was somebody who was just higher. I don't know how higher powered, but just I don't know because they don't just go, oh, they were better, so we put this halo around them. It was kind of more of they are divinity. A godly type person.
Holy.
Yep.
The Arthur C. Clarke quote.
And then I just go, why do they worship the stars? People love taking credit for shit. So why would they pass that credit along to somebody else? Why wouldn't they say, no, we did this. I did this. This guy did it. Like Kim Jong-un.
They had a very compelling reason.
It's the Kim Jong-un syndrome.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you be that?
Right.
So that's kind of
you brought up some very compelling points.
No, but I mean that's there's way more where that comes from, and it's you can look at this two ways. That either there's weird little ghosts flying around, or this is some actual physical shit that just like us.
Have you noticed the last few nights you can see Jupiter in the sky?
No, but if you were to super moon.
Have you ever tried to follow a star Like to follow a star you'd have to leave Earth and go towards the star.
Yeah.
But if you were seeing a light from the sky and that was leading you across the land, and you didn't know what a ship was, a flying ship, it was a light in the sky, which you call stars. So the star was leading you. That all makes perfect sense in that context.
Well, I was also thinking earlier just about like, what if there was because we talked about apocalyptic shit, and what if there was some kind of cataclysm that we were able to predict, or there was a meteor that was going to hit us. We could tell when and when, maybe we sent people up into space temporarily. They lived up there for 30 days, 60 days, all came down from the sky, had a limited amount of technology for a limited period of time. Once gas, they don't have access to all this shit. Once, I believe it would only take like 150, 200 years for a lot of our infrastructure to not look at all like it is. The steel will rust, the concrete will dissolve into dust. So who the fuck knows, And that's what I love about it, because who knows? It's all up for freaking speculation, and it has everything to do with us and where we came from. It's a great fucking topic.
Right. Yes, thank you. This was my baby. And I agree wholeheartedly with the all the religious references. They're all referring to people that come from the sky. That's all very from Quetzalcoatl to Jesus Christ. They're all sent from the heavens. The interesting verse in the Bible is, "We shall create man in our image."
Yes,
who's he talking to?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Who's our?
I want to get back on this lights in the sky
really
issue,
quick,
because
you say that we are on the precipice of somebody. They're fucking around with this in another country, but they're on the borderline of you being able to have an artificial womb outside of your body, and you were able to pick all the traits of your child, Matrix style, kind of like we're almost to that. So why is that so far-fetched that another group of beings would
I believe that's called CRISPR.
Yeah, right.
I got it right.
I miss Brady.
There's so many things to discuss. Let's just go back to my the lights in the sky issue. Now, headlights on a car are so that you can see and so that you can be seen. When we put lights on an airplane, it is so that they can be seen. If a UFO didn't want to be seen, it'd probably turn off its running lights.
So they've got UFOs record that they're able to cloak themselves and stuff. But I was also watching some shit, which is crazy because it ties in with my plasma cutting stuff. They claim that they could potentially use a plasma, because plasma is the fourth state of matter. It's like supercharged gas that is able to conduct electricity and they could potentially utilize that, and that would cause light to emit, potentially. So they might not be doing it on purpose. It might just be the causality of their propulsion.
Fair enough.
Try something. Hang on a second.
Why don't you try something, Brady? Hey, George, did you get a new shirt at the Hardy show?
No, I've had this for a while. I just finally started wearing it because I got one at the Hardy show. This is the only thing. It's Tennessee whiskey, but look, it's got. He's a fan of hardcore rock, metal and shit, and so this is kind of like a throwback to that, but it's very satanic. Is actually what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Hail Satan.
Yeah.
Almost.
He's almost there.
Almost there. Check it out. Ready?
We're getting there?
Yeah.
We're moving forward?
No way.
Moving on. So what do you think about Alien Ant Farm?
It's pretty smooth.
They're okay.
Very smooth. Very smooth. Sometimes criminal.
Yeah. Honestly, I like their version better than Michael Jackson's, but he molested children, so.
I should put my face back on. I guess I can't hide the whole show.
Oh, there you are.
But now I'm little on one side. You guys see me little?
Look at his head.
I have a singing segment every show now.
Yeah, I started something bad, didn't I?
Alien Ant Farm, where we're just, the fucking farm animals on this bitch, and they put us here.
30 minutes in, we're in the singing portion of the show.
Last time it happened right away, which is quite confusing.
Cheers.
It's a hilarious intro.
Stuck in my head all night.
Gary just sings a couple songs and he's like, all right, what do you guys got? And we're just both like,
right.
That's it?
Yeah.
Just some singing?
I'm going to go get a song.
Dr. Stephen Greer.
What about him? I don't recall.
Are you familiar with his work?
I don't think so.
The Disclosure Project?
I'm not good
0 Point Energy?
Okay, but I'm not good.
Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind? He's talking to extra dimensional beings.
Yeah, so that's what Tom DeLonge is doing, and I've been a fan of him. I was gonna upload the video. It doesn't even matter because we might get flagged. But there's a video that I took from when I saw him live, and that's the story I told about smoking joints. And the guy was like, "Hey, put those out." The security guy, and we were like, "Okay," and he didn't. No one gives a shit. It's just weed. It's right. Like I don't know why people are so freaked out sometimes, but all they'll do is just tell you to put it out. It's not really that big of a deal. It's a fucking concert. But he's singing Aliens Exist, which is a great song. Hey, Mom, there's something in the back room. Hope it's not the creatures from above. You used to read me stories as if my dreams are boring. We all know conspiracies are dumb. But I'm up all night long, and there's something very wrong. I'm not going to go through the whole song, but great song. But the song is called Aliens Exist. And he was... I got it. If we can pull up a link, it's whatever. It's just him talking about it rather than me telling you what he said. But he's talking about how he got approached, to do what he's doing, and it sounds dumb, but what people don't realize is that it's just it's all kind of a smoke and mirrors game a little bit when it comes to trusting people. I mean, like Fauci kind of had to become a little bit of a celebrity, but it wasn't just Fauci going COVID. It was all the celebrities telling people. There is, for whatever reason, our culture is obsessed with celebrity. I fucking wish they weren't. I fucking hate most of those people. And here I am wearing a fucking whatever.
Right. Try walking down the street just one time and have nobody walk up to you and say, "Hey, you're Fladge from the internet."
From the internet. But no, he was talking about the whole switch from UFOs to UAPs. I don't know if this is a different phenomenon or if this is the same phenomenon, but the UAP phenomenon is the more cloaked, energy-based. You need to see with certain radars and different shit, and it's potentially multi-dimensional beings or a multi-dimensional craft that can bust through whatever dimension to dimension. And that's what they're after. But I mean, he's working with former CIA, former people who were part of important shit, and it sounds like a joke, but it's not. And it's right. They wanted the celebrity because they're just like, we're a bunch of dumb scientists. No one's going to listen to us. I mean, they listen to a dumb celebrity, and that's works. Kind of, it does. And it has, because he's been on part of that forefront of the Pentagon releasing stuff. And he claims that he's just always obsessed with it. And he started just saying some shit. And then one day somebody called him and was like, "Hey, how the fuck do you know all that shit?" Not necessarily like going, "Oh, how do you know it?" Like, how the fuck do you know that shit? Shut your fucking mouth. Who the fuck are you? And he was getting kind of investigated for a little bit. And he was just like, right. I'm just a fucking enthusiast.
Right. Same as Dr. Stephen Greer.
And so then he was contacted by several people that, saw him as a method of, a voice box, stand on the shoulders of giants type situation.
Brilliant. I kind of want to talk to a couple of laymen who don't understand the concept, but I've heard in some of my research that some of these good aliens are trying to help us with ascension, and that I came upon this document that said, instead of what I claimed a few weeks ago on this very podcast, that the Mayans didn't die of smallpox brought by the conquistadors, they ascended. Now, I don't know what that means exactly. It might mean joining the Federation of Planets or reaching a level of enlightenment that
I thought they died of COVID of the balls.
That might be the case too.
Different show.
But I'm not hippie enough to believe in this spiritual ascension.
Nope, and I'm not necessarily either. But what I come to find is that spiritual ascension is outer space.
Okay. Yeah. That's why this makes sense to me.
Plateau.
What, the Star Trek people floating?
No,
Yeah.
Just figuratively, I think maybe. But
they're ascending.
I've got Star Wars over here, and I got Groot right here. That's Groot. I am Groot. He's an alien.
What are you, a child?
Yeah. And then, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you do.
He's an alien.
You got your little $70 toys.
I'm taking a break.
That's gay. Are we able to patch in a thing yet?
Yeah, so at the bottom of your screen, do you see the screen next to the camera? Instead of a different tab, just click that and it'll open next to us.
What do you mean?
You might not have it. In the middle, where you got the mic to mute and the camera to turn off, there's one that looks like a screen.
Yeah. Oh, you want me to load something up to see?
Click it and you can just load it through there. Select the tab.
Okay.
The sound and everything should come through. It seems easier. I'm learning. Before you play that, my take on aliens is pretty simple. I think it's distraction.
Yeah, I've heard that too. But, of what? For what?
I mean, it's also intriguing. But I think it's like not just a distraction. I should use a different word. I think it's more or less a cover. So like if they're doing things, it's a great cover. If it's, man-made or military-made.
Oh, well, there was some skeptic stuff that were saying that was saying that this is potential like Lockheed Martin technology that they just aren't telling anybody about, period. Not even our own government, even though they kind of are.
Aren't they like 50 years in advance to what we know?
Potentially. I don't know.
But it's a great, let me rephrase that even a third time. It's a great cover if that's what it is.
I thought you were wearing a faggy ass earring for a second. That's just your.
I can't, I have echo, so if I put both headphones in, I can't hear it. I take my faggy ass earrings out before the show starts.
Got a big fucking hoop. It's like, geez. Okay, yeah. So this is just him, kind of what I prefaced, but.
I got a birthday song for Gary. I did one more mashup. I took our theme song and mashed it with Happy Birthday. So we'll play that sometime when he comes back.
Was it?
I was such an idiot. I was trying to click the fucking play button on the screen that you're showing.
I do that all the time.
Right.
It doesn't work.
Like a deadline article about like you've got like a series based on your book about UFOs.
It might be echoey.
Nope, I'm mute. I got to mute.
Oh, I got you.
Now there's like a subsequent series to that.
Yeah, so Legendary picked up my books called Secret Machines. It's like these 700-page novels that are about UFOs, story about UFOs, but it's all government. It's all like military-industrial complex. Think like Area 51, CIA, Department of Defense, and then their counterparts in other countries. And then intermixed with that is some of the things flying around are totally different entirely, and so it's a big deal because this is the true story of UFOs, of what's been going on with our government and everything else. So
I think that there's two things that really strike me as crazy about the developments with UFOs. Number one, it's crazy that the government is all of a sudden just sort of saying, yeah, the UFOs are real. There's like, all this. Like the government acknowledging.
We did that. I did that.
Wow.
That's why they're doing that.
But what's even?
I don't say that. I sound like a dick when I say that, but I'm like, that's why. There's a whole story here, but keep going.
It's crazy to me that the government's acknowledging UFOs are very real, and it's even crazier that news comes out and like everyone's like, oh.
Yeah, they're all like, yeah, but interest rates are gnarly and like fucking COVID. You're like, what the fuck? Like that's how a lot of us. So what happened is that book Secret.
What happened?
I don't know. That's super cool. It's good that Steve-O's doing something. It looks like they're in an RV though.
Steve-O's got a great podcast. He just travels across.
Is he living in a trailer?
Well, he's doing a podcast for a year straight. In it.
Oh. Okay.
I was playing with,
So, I mean, it's super impressive, and I love how well you communicate too. Your ability to tell you.
Works built Area 51. See, So what happened then was, Hillary Clinton was running for presidency against, I guess it was against Trump, and John Podesta was her campaign manager.
Okay.
At the time, he was also senior advisor to Obama. So I was holding conversations with Podesta to get to Obama, and I had 2 multi-star generals from Space Command and the head of Lockheed Martin Skunk Works, that Skunk Works built Area 51, their elite engineering division. I had them all on this like fucking emails, and we're setting up these conference calls and stuff. Well, Hillary Clinton's campaign got hacked by the Russians, WikiLeaks, and it outed all this shit about Podesta and her. And what happened with that was when all these news journalists were pouring through WikiLeaks to see what spilled from Hillary's campaign, they found these fucking emails with me and Podesta talking to these generals about UFOs. So Wall Street Journal threw that onto the Wall Street Journal. And then I was like, fuck, I'm fucked. And I'm like out there like fucking erasing computers and doing all this different, I didn't know what to do. And at that time, all these other government people that came out.
Let me ask you, why would that be a problem for you? If, I mean, there's nothing wrong with exchanging emails with.
That wasn't the issue. The more of the issue was like, the more of the
high
issue.
clearance security.
Just all these guys are holding the secrets of the universe, and it's a much. What would happen in conversations is I just knew things, so I would say it. They might not say something back, but I'm kind of thinking that any of those conversations should not be fucking poured over by anybody that wants to just come in and just like make a name for themselves at the bureau, you know?
All right.
So
of UFOs, like,
they're not coming from. Well, I should say it this way: the significance of UFOs is multiple parts, but number one, it's not what you think it is. It's not coming from other planets. The evidence doesn't suggest that.
Interdimensional.
Yes, and the reason is because time is parallel. It's not linear, or it's not like we start here and go forward in time. Time is side by side, which means everything in the past and the future is existing in this moment, but within different frequencies. So a civilization that's at the end of their technological cycle could build a submarine that changes its voltage and materializes in that same location, just into our timeline. And then fucking, it's crazy.
That was.
I'll just kind of cut it there because we could listen to that all day. But I mean, you hear how educated my man sounds. He's not just some dipshit, right? So people just point at Rockstar, stupid. Right. But no. He knows what he's talking about.
He does.
Just pretty incredible. Just the idea of
he knows his stuff.
Multidimensional beings, and the frequency situation too, because we have radio frequencies. And if you're not tuned into a specific frequency, you can't hear it. But guess what? It's there. It's there the entire time until you find it, until you hit that dial and you go, oh, there's that frequency.
Light waves too. The spectrum we can see is so limited.
I can see a pretty large spectrum right here. His name is Fladge.
That's a different kind of spectrum.
Oh, sorry. You big dummy.
So from what I've been listening to, you guys think that basically ghosts, aliens, angels, all the same type of being?
Potentially, yeah.
Interesting.
Because I've always been intrigued by the paranormal stuff because I feel like there's not enough tangible evidence.
Here. Some UAPs aren't interdimensional, aren't from other worlds. There are technology, possibly reverse engineered from vehicles from other dimensions or other planets.
You're blipping a little bit, but we got.
Sounds like you might be from another dimension right now.
There's this
going in and out of that dimension.
It came.
There was this alien sighting that I was looking up all the encounters, and one of them,
move your head slightly to the left.
This group of people saw these.
I'm gonna have to hit the button. I'm sorry. I can't let it go anymore without.
Okay. So
adjust your phone a little bit. Try doing something just subtle.
Okay.
Yeah, you're gone. He's gone.
They saw these entities floating around in their trees 2 nights in a row, 3:30 in the morning, and it turned out to be owls. Glowing yellow eyes because the light reflecting off the retinas.
Yeah, I don't know. There's some weird shit with the spiritual stuff. Energy readings. There's energy readings. There's like sounds. I don't know if.
Where you guys stand on crop circles?
So that's the same. We kind of brushed over that briefly, but I mean, again, same thing that I was just saying, where there's weird electrical readings. I don't know if that's just static electricity or if that's a sign of something more, but there are some weird electrical phenomena. I do know that there was those people that were making those crop circles, but they can't possibly make them all. And the mimickers, I'm sure there's plenty of them.
Right, yeah, like 200 of them from 1977 to 1991.
They don't break.
Like they were using boards and ropes.
They're like bent. And I would say
I always thought it was weird that
your hair standing up on your arm.
All grasses were woven. Yeah, that seems like an electrical thing.
Yeah, it would be similar in my opinion, but they when they lay down, they're woven into each other when they lay. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, in some cases.
Really? Interesting. That takes some time.
That's a little too detailed for guys pulling a hoax. I mean, most of these crop circles were just hoaxes, and I don't know. I mean, maybe we should dedicate a show to crop circles, but I don't think it's worth it because really 90% are hoaxes.
There are pretty. So I did a project in my senior project for fucking English class. Boy, am I a smart motherfucker. I did crop circles because it had to be about something UK or whatever, and so that's where a lot of the crop circles are. And so I was able to so you got extra points for having another medium. My medium was, here's a crop circle, here's another crop circle. I fucking knocked that shit out of the park. I brought fucking too much. So I got an A+ on that fucker. And I just talked. I go, look at this shit. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
This is how they claim it. This is what they claim. This is the hoax stuff. This is the non-hoax stuff. Look at this one. Look at that one. What's incredible is the geometry. Now you could do that human-wise, but you would need probably a string, and figuring it out that way. You may need someone to look down from above, but maybe not. You could probably do that with a string, being able to tell where you need to be and how far from a center point.
But I was just trying to set up horseshoe pits. I had to have Easy tell me they're all cockamamie. They're not lined up right, like 40 feet apart. I was too close. I was looking down and I was digging the trench and I was about to backstop it. And then you look up and it's all cockamamie. So I'm glad Easy was there to tell me, stop doing what you're doing. Cut it at an angle like this because you're off.
Step out of the way and let a man handle it.
Right. So, I mean, it's not as easy as even with Easy.
It was as easy as it looked because
Easy got his shirt.
He was there.
That's what I was doing wrong. But he was the first person to get one of these shirts. Well, except my wife, but she won't even wear it.
You just accept my
She doesn't know we do this.
Counting her as a person?
I have the original.
Oh, no, so I'm not counting her as someone who has touched her shirt. I turned them all inside out, washed them, dried them, made them nice and
wash them all together,
smooth and
the white
smelling nice.
Now I have a brown shirt instead of blood.
Including the white one. I almost wore the white one.
It's not white anymore. Yeah. It's off white.
And then I hung hers up, and it hasn't moved, so she hasn't touched her shirt. Not only will she not wear it, she refuses to touch it.
That's what I thought. And you wasted the pink. Somebody else could have the pink. I knew that she'd hate it. Why would she want to walk around?
Apparently, because I spend 2 hours out in the barn every week. She's bitter.
That's besides this podcast.
If that's all the time you're away,
I don't know.
She's very lucky. And you got to fix your phone.
Yeah, move it like to the left or the right. Usually just a slight movement. Usually just a slight movement has fixed it in the past.
Or we can all just start talking the same. So things that
Am I better now?
Aliens coming down from the sky and religion and all this shit. So I didn't even think about this until like yesterday or today. Alien abduction. Where do you sit with alien abduction? Terrible. Not better.
I think you usually lay for alien abduction. You don't sit. You lay with your ass straight up in the air, from what I understand.
You are. We can't understand you, Gary. Yeah, Barney and Benny Hill. So that's interesting. But I always thought their story was kind of lame and boring because they were just driving and then they saw a light, and then there was just a lot of lost time, and then they like realized they came to. Good thing, you know, they're both unselfish lovers because they both came. But
also. When you said that they came to, I thought you meant they woke up.
No, the best thing is if there's some type of rape
and
situation.
There always is. There's always some type of.
And someone was GHB'd, and the girl finally came to, and it was like, well, at least she came. You know, it can't be that terrible, right? Traumatic. No.
Do you think maybe though that those are almost all some kind of human sexual encounter that they feel embarrassed and they would rather be stupid and alien abducted than whatever, you know, kidnapped and raped? Or
there's enough compelling. So I did pull up one that like I'd never heard of it before, but this woman sounds pretty fucking compelling. Her family is kind of like, her husband never got abducted, but he's like, yeah, like he has the whole, I'm like locked in place and I can't wake up, even though I can tell something's going on and I need to assess it. And has dealt with it since she was a child, apparently. And then her kids started getting kind of fucked with a little bit. I'll pull it up in a minute, but
I see this here. I just realized, that's your video? No, it doesn't show up.
What? Well,
maybe when it's playing.
No, I didn't even share it yet, but I wanted to.
No, I still see Steve-O, and it shows me your video
down already.
Yeah, it's down. It's just in the background of the director. I thought I could change the view.
Yeah, but so
I probably
abduction shit. I tried to find something on it and I could not. It was hard to search, but I did see a documentary where they had people sleep and they induced some type of electromagnetism or some type of frequency or whatever, and it stimulated their brain while they were sleeping, and it caused them to have a dream that was along the lines of an alien abduction. And there were several people who had this same exact type of experience. So this was kind of repeatable. So could this be, you know, just somebody sleeping and there's a lot of static in the air and their brain mixes with it and it kind of caused them to have a really, really convincing dream? I know what to say, right?
I think they probably just had a shared experience, whether it was hearing the experience or watching a movie. They're all very similar, just like the way the alien looks similar. So either that's the way alien looks, or people are just having a shared collective image of what they think it looks.
Well, there's fucking shared, when people are dying, there's supposedly shared, because the fuck they call that, but
like the bright light and everything.
Yeah, or you just see weird shit, or there's just like, you know, like somebody, like an angel behind somebody, or just like I don't know. I'd have to look up video to really get an idea of what they describe, but I do know that that's something that enough people had mentioned. But it could also just be your fucking body firing on all cylinders because somebody you love is about to die, and you get a huge dopamine hit, and that thing is like a fucking trip.
Yeah, the body is so, I don't want to say magical. What's the German word for perfect engineering? So I would assume, all right, since it's so well designed or so well evolved, whichever you prefer, it only makes sense that death is going to be built in, and it shouldn't be horrifying. Like, what, you know, pain is only as much as it needs to be as an indicator, and then it cuts off. You go into shock, or you don't need the pain anymore. So I'm hoping going into death, it gives you some euphoric, some memory.
No, there is something
bright light
that spills
your brain
out.
Shutting off.
There is something that spills out, but other animals are more in tune to that. They're more, they don't really emotionalize death fully. Some animals do, because they might go, oh, my baby died, and the mama deer will go to the dead corpse and lay by it or whatever the fuck. But for the most part, like, they don't really understand what's happening anyway. And I was helping my girlfriend at her freaking parents' house. They got some mice, and so I was over there this weekend trying to kill them, get a bunch with traps, and then we figured out where they kind of were going. But man, them things get snapped in those fucking traps, and it doesn't take much once you sever that spinal column for them to just be done.
Yeah,
and they have no idea that it's coming.
Yeah, and I would hope that their body's designed the same way. That when it's not necessary anymore, that it just cuts out. Have you ever been hit in the head hard enough to see a bright flash? Because I have.
Yeah, one time during football for sure. The one dude led with his helmet during practice, and he was that kind of player. But it's like, I look back at that now, and I'm fucking pissed at him, kind of. But
so I think that it's the same. Whatever makes that bright flash, when your brain shuts down, it's the same shock wave, whatever you want to call it. The bright light. It's just probably slower, because instead of bam, your brain is easing into the.
Like slowly.
I don't know if that's it, but to me, it's a possibility. That's why they would all see the same experience.
Yeah, I don't know. My freaking neighbor up at my cottage freaking drowned a few years ago, and he went kayaking in the wrong kayaks and freaking didn't have life jackets, and it wasn't really that deep of water. I don't know what the fuck happened. My brother and I joke, and we claim that his buddy was just trying to off him. But I always think about that, where like you drown, your lungs are done, but your heart's still pumping for a little bit, and then even once your heart stops pumping, your brain is still active a little bit. You could potentially still see out of your eyes, and you're just sitting there going, "Well, fuck," That
would suck. Like the Metallica song
pain,
One.
I'm sure, like breathing in water. Gary, you got to do something with your shit. You're still all fucked up.
Yeah, what you got to do, whatever you did last time, we dealt with it, and then you finally spun around or went to a different.
Kind of slightly moved to like an inch to the left or an inch to the right. So talk right now. See what your audio is doing.
Put your right foot in, and then put your right foot out. And put your right foot in.
Yep, you can't hear goddamn word.
And shake it all about.
Ching, ping, pong, ping. Speaking Chinese. All right, well let's play this video while Gary figures that out. So this is pretty interesting. So this is a couple.
Snow?
Yeah.
I don't want to see snow on a roof yet.
Snow. What kind of snow?
It's coming.
I'm gonna click the wrong damn. I was about to click the wrong play.
I'm looking the wrong way at the video. There it is.
I got some meat.
She's experienced abduction since childhood. They've been very traumatic experiences for her. In the course of time, she's managed to overcome her fear, among other things by painting her visitors.
It was so scary to me when I think about it, but then when I finally was able to paint it, then it didn't seem so scary to me. His face doesn't look that scary. He almost looks like he has a look of wonderment.
But do you remember precisely having seen this face? When was it?
First abduction, Sue remembers.
So you mentioned that. That's really fucked up because I was watching something else, and there was a dude who had an abduction. I didn't like the story as much, but it was fucking weird because he had actual photographs from when he.
Ooh, that's great, right there, Gary.
He had a camera. Yeah, it's starting to move pretty normal. He had a camera and he had like misplaced it, and then when he found it, he got the film developed, and there was these weird kind of shitty pictures of something that looks remarkably similar. And I don't know, I almost feel like those might be the same exact pictures, and they're using it as reference, and they're not necessarily saying in the story. But I don't know. It's quite weird what this lady has to say, like going forward here.
Clearly occurred when she was 19. A pulsating blue light woke her as it made its way across the bedroom. Sue was in bed, terrified and unable to look at it. They're here, she thought. But who are they? Her thoughts made no sense at all. She heard her mother get up, call her, and then go back to bed. Terrified, Sue found the courage to turn around. It was then she noticed two small gray beings. Then she passed out. The next day, her mother confirmed that she did get up after hearing a noise in her daughter's room, but that some sort of a force compelled her to go back to bed. Gradually, Sue would come to realize that she'd been abducted since childhood, but simply didn't understand what was happening.
That was really, when I was 19, was the first time that I remembered seeing these beings.
Yeah, so the compelling shit here is the family members that are also tied into this, because it just, first person perspective, fine, but when you got like corroborating kind of stories and shit, it is pretty interesting. And her fucking husband's like a pretty mundane dude. He like has a Christmas tree fucking business. He seems just like a fucking dude who would not want any extra attention, but
I was just finding some...
David, Sue's husband, manages a construction company. A nature lover, he's preparing for retirement by turning part of their land into a Christmas tree farm. David gets up at dawn every morning. He's never been abducted himself, and he lived with Sue for over 30 years.
Yeah.
The trees on the sides of the field are all old, a lot of them, and they're starting to fall on my Christmas trees and stuff.
I love how they add this in here, like anyone gives a fuck about his Christmas tree farm.
Fall into the field.
I think Gary's finding a new spot.
He's such a good boy.
There's glowing eyes there behind that tree.
It's not graveyard time yet, is it?
Being paralyzed.
No, he just went out to a nice... You know what? That's awesome.
Yeah, so this is where he talked about being paralyzed.
Where I can't move. it was involved with things that were going on with Sue, as near as I can tell. And I tried to get up, and I'd be paralyzed. I couldn't move.
Do you remember what's happened then?
Oh, I never can remember anything.
Just before being paralyzed?
Just the noises or something, or she was stirring and I was trying to get up and, to see what was going on.
Might be obsessing, no?
Well, yeah, I mean, it even happened, that happens here to me too. Seems like a heavy weight is holding me down.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, just, holding me in bed, and I can't explain it, except it's I'm strong, and I
my home, it's Sunday in mine. And I stepped toward him, and I put my hands out to him, and I said, sweetie, they won't hurt you. And his eyes were really, this is the color of my rug. I know that I'm awake. And I stepped into the kitchen. And Danny was standing there.
Because she said she's dealt with this since she was a little girl.
Oh, okay.
He was
I missed that
13.
part.
And he...
I'm like, I said that because sometimes
like
parents
a robot.
just say that.
I mean, his hands were really down like this against his side, and his eyes were really big, and he looked so scared. And I stepped toward him, and I remember thinking, my God, he's paralyzed with fear. That's the thought that went through my mind. And I stepped toward him, and I put my hands out to him, and I said, sweetie, they won't hurt you. They won't hurt you. You'll be okay. They won't hurt you. And it was like he couldn't even hear me. He didn't look at me. His eyes were just like straight ahead. And the light was all around us at that time. And I walked past him and pulled in behind him, stepped in behind him. And just as I stepped behind him, I could see Jake coming in the other door into the kitchen. And I remember thinking I was so angry, because I thought, they've been messing with me my whole life. Don't mess with my kids. But there was nothing I could do. And that's the last thing that I remember. Everything after that was like a dream. We just got like really, like in a dream where things, out of sequence, and I knew I wasn't in my home. I didn't know where I was, but I could hear Danny screaming, and I was just like trying to hit something. I remember it was just really crazy. And then the next thing that I remember was waking up the next morning, waking up in bed. And
See, I'm
That's enough of that crying bitch. But I mean, you hear
just by her emotion, it makes me not.
That's what I'm saying. The other
anything.
What do you mean the emotion? You don't trust the emotion?
I think
the other guy
emotion
that I was maybe going to play
truth and logic sometimes.
The other guy I was going to play was just dry pan, and it just was just like, no, this is what I saw, and I'm very non-emotional, and it sounds fake. Yeah. This woman is fucking compelled by what she saw. She is fucking shaking. So, and this drew me back to like when I was a kid. The only thing that I was ever really fully afraid of and just scared shitless of was aliens. The TV show Sightings, the beginning of that show would scare the shit out of me. But I wanted to watch it, but it scared the shit out of me. And it was this fucking internal horrid fear that I've never felt for anything. Same thing with the very beginning of the X-Files, but only when they showed the gray. Like that would just like frighten and scare the shit out of me, and I don't know why.
Sorry, I had
now I embrace now I don't care. Like it's just like whatever. But what's also compelling is that I'm not going to find the spot, but her husband mentions that he tells his story of that night, and he heard the commotion in the kitchen but couldn't get up, and so just the corroborating stories and the years of what the hell is going on. Yeah, she could be crazy, but would her family fucking vouch for her? Would her kids vouch for her? Like, I don't think that they don't seem like they want attention. This is just some shitty little.
I'm not saying it's not true, but yeah, they would easily vouch for that and play along.
Right.
It's the whole thing that bothers me is there's such a cottage industry that makes lots of money And
you like that terminology. You've said that several times, but I get it.
I'm not saying that that's true, but it's always my reason to not just believe wholeheartedly.
No, but so that then ties into that frickin' alien sighting most recently that was in Vegas. And this is kind of weird. I know this has probably been done to death, but I tried to find what happened and where we're at with this story. And the last I heard was a month ago or 2 months ago, probably a month and a half ago.
Crime? We got to get off YouTube.
No.
They'll steal our whole thing. Good time.
Oh, yeah.
Let me frickin' don't
Bye,
put
everyone.
it up thing because their little banner probably.
I like Ricada Law. He puts a little cuck over it and circles it. But
well, I can, yeah, whatever. But the last we're at with the story is that the family